Hey listeners, well welcome to episode 800 of the Leadership is Changing podcast. Wow, just amazing, going from a voice journey that began with me having a tumor that almost took my voice away to today where the same voice is being heard around the globe, impacting thousands of leaders and helping them grow their own leadership voices. What a ride. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: never underestimate the power of your voice. Because when you use it, you not only shape your own future, you help others find theirs as well. Now, speaking of voices, some leaders have lost theirs. Not physically, I nearly did, but emotionally and mentally. Some of them are still sitting in a chair and they're still turning up to work, but let's be honest, they've actually checked out. And so today's episode, even though it's 800, I want to talk about this topic because it's actually very important. So let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas.
Welcome to the Ask Denis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners or share my thoughts, experiences, and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey there, listeners. Well, the Ask Denis episode, this has been an episode whereby I'm asked questions by others, or there's things that I actually experience with working with many leaders around the globe and certain topics. So it's a great way just to sit down and have a conversation with you in relation to certain topics. Yes, it's great to be with you on the 800th episode of this podcast. And almost 5.5 years ago, we launched the podcast. And I thought about today's episode, and I'm currently sitting in Perth, Australia, working with a wonderful group of leaders. In fact, we've had to split the large team of leaders into two cohorts, mainly because they all can't be out of their business at the same time. And so the program is called Leadership Essentials. And it's 2 days of learning, drilling and skilling, debriefing, reflecting. Monday and Tuesday, well, that was cohort 1. And Thursday and Friday, cohort 2. Wednesday, that was with the senior leadership or the executive team. And I did a 2-day event with them about 4 months ago. And now I've come back to sit down with them to reflect, reset, realign, and recommit. So let's get to talk about the topic for today's episode. The title is Quit and Stay, and that terminology is used quite a bit. In fact, nowadays they tend to sort of talk about quiet quitting. But the title is Quit and Stay, the leadership challenge you can't ignore. And it's a really important topic to talk about today. And I'm seeing this in several countries with leaders and organizations that I'm working with. And when I say in the title that it's a leadership challenge that you can't ignore, I'm talking to not just you as a leader who has somebody like that in your team or you're in your organization, but it's also a leadership challenge for you maybe if this is the person that you already have quit, but you're staying in an organization. As I said into my introduction today, speaking of voices, some leaders have lost theirs. Now, not physically like I nearly did, but emotionally and mentally. They're still sitting in the chair, still turning up to work, but as I said, we've got to be honest, they've already checked out. And this is what we call quit and stay. They don't resign on paper, but they've resigned in their heart and their mind. And you know what? Nothing drags down a team faster than someone who's become just an empty suit in a seat. And when I say just an empty suit in a seat, it means they're there physically, but they're not actually contributing. And when this happens, it can be toxic. It makes other members team members feel uncomfortable, and it can lower morale. And I'm not saying that every single person's like this or has sort of checked out but is toxic. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that whole scenario, that whole situation can be difficult for everybody. But it raises a big question for leaders. What do we do when someone has quit without quitting? And also, if you're listening to this and you're that person, then what do you need to do? Because if we think about it, no one else can make the decision for you. It's your choice. Now, before I go on and share any practical steps and things like that, I just want to say this. It's a little bit of a disclaimer. Every person and every situation is different. Every country is different. Every organization is different. And employment law varies in every organization. You see, I'm a keynote speaker, executive facilitator. I'm an executive coach. I'm a change catalyst that speaks about leading change and adaptive leadership. But I'm not an employment lawyer. So I don't know how your laws work in your country. So before you have these kind of conversations, make sure you get the right HR or legal advice. But let me be very clear to you right now. That should not stop you from having the courageous conversations that leadership demands. And don't let it become your excuse to sweep it under the carpet because it's a little bit difficult, or there may be some things we need to be mindful from an HR or employment law or a legal perspective. If there is, go and find out what it is and then get on with what you need to get on with. So here's 5 things that I think that leaders can do. Once again, it's my thoughts and it's up to you, but you should really check out to see if this is something that you should be doing. Number 1, have the courageous conversation. Don't ignore it. Sit down with the individual. Don't sugarcoat it and don't dance around things. But I'm going to say to you is before you get into that meeting, make sure that you are preparing really well to have a really cool conversation with that person. And when I say cool, I'm not saying being flippant about it. I'm saying that it's actually a conversation that needs to happen for that person and for you. Be respectful, but also be direct. In other words, treat them like the way that you would like to be treated as well. And I'm going to give you maybe some questions, some suggested examples, but you know what? I think you should go and find out what kind of questions. Think about it, sit down and work out what kind of questions you might need to ask. And here's just a couple. How are you really doing in this role? What's energizing you right now in work and what's draining you? Yes, it's uncomfortable having this kind of conversation, but leadership isn't about comfort. It's about clarity. Number 2 is diagnose the drivers. In other words, what's in behind it? Because you see, disengagement is often a symptom and it's not the root cause. Yeah, maybe it's burnout, maybe it's frustration with the leadership above, or simply that they have outgrown the role. They might be bored. So be curious, but don't be judgmental. And you might want to ask this kind of question, which is what's contributing to how you're feeling? Now, you'll notice that these questions are open-ended questions, right? And so you want to give them the chance to think and respond. Be smart about it too. If you're going to ask a question, give them the space to think and allow them to respond. Sometimes a small change can reignite their spark. And other times you'll find out that they truly are done. Either way, you should look to find a way to uncover the truth on what's going on. Number 3 is offer clarity and choices. You see, people often feel stuck because they don't see the options ahead of them. So you could actually sit down with them and say, okay, well, if you stay, here's what the path might look like for you. And if you go, we'll respect that and support your transition. Clarity, I can't put more emphasis on this. Clarity is empowering. It forces people out of hiding in the gray zone. Even organizations, teams, individuals, if that team has clarity about where they're going, where the business is going, then it's very empowering. If they have clarity about what's expected of them as a leader or of the organization and things like that, it's amazing. If you have clarity about your team and their strengths and what they're very good at, awesome. It's very empowering. Number 4 is set clear expectations. So make it very crystal clear what staying means. Commitment, energy, contribution. Now spell out the behaviors you expect. So it's engaging in meetings, delivering on goals, supporting the team. No ambiguity. No, what we call, well, I call it actually, but I've called it with other leaders too, halfway leadership. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. No, none of that at all. And number 5 is support or release. So if they stay, give them the coaching, the mentoring, the resources that they need to succeed. Sometimes they just need to feel heard or seen again. And if they go, let them go with dignity. Don't hang on. A disengaged leader is like an anchor dragging behind a boat. The ideal thing here would be to cut it loose, and then the whole team, the boat, can sail faster. But also the individual that leaves, they can sail faster as well. And so it's a win-win situation either way. We've got to be respectful to the people. We've got to help people through it. But it's also, don't be judgmental, as I said early on. Now, you may be listening to this and thinking, Denis, you've just described me. So if so, let me just say a few things to you. Number 1 is get honest with yourself. Stop pretending everything's fine when it isn't. And then you may want to ask yourself this, and it's not an open-ended question, it is a closed-ended question, which is, do I actually want to be here? And if the answer is no, then actually own that. If the answer is yes, then own that as well. But then you may want to ask a few other things too. So number 2 is make the decision. So you've got 2 paths, go or stay. Very simple, right? If you go, then go boldly. Now, what do I mean by that? Not being arrogant or terrible with people and things like that. Just go, make the decision, do what you need to do for you. Don't drift. Decide what you want to do to help you spread your wings, and then step into that next chapter in your life and in your career. Now, if you decide you want to stay, then stay with conviction. Reset your mindset and bring that energy back. Number 3 for you to do is don't sit in limbo, because limbo is what I call is like sitting on the fence, and leaders don't sit on the fence. It's not good enough for you to be sitting on the fence. For you, for your team, or for your own future. Half in and half out leadership, it doesn't work. So you're going to have to decide what you're wanting to do, but don't be sit on the limbo about it. Number 4 is reignite your why. So if you're staying, revisit why you became a leader in the first place. Your team deserves the best version of you, not a checked out one. And if you need to just take some time out from the role to think about this stuff or just take a good break, then do that as well. Number 5 is own your choice. So at the end of the day, no one else can make this call for you. It's your life. It's your career. It's your leadership. But you're going to have to own it. And whichever path you choose, walk it with pride, excitement, passion. Because mediocrity is not a leadership strategy. Number 6 is talk or engage with the right people. So make sure you have the right people around you to talk through things and support you. See, I have a program called Executive Crossover, and that helps people go from here to there. It helps them get clarity on where they're wanting to go next in their chapter, and then helps them do it. So if you're a leader that's thinking about going off to go to another organization, maybe a bigger role or a similar role, that's the kind of person I may help. Some people decide they want to leave the corporate world and they want to go off and start a business or launch a business or buy one. Then there are people who may actually have got to a stage in their career and are thinking more about lifestyle. So for them, it could be they're doing 1, 2, or 3, 4, 5 directorships. They may do some consulting, and they may do some investing in startups, shares or property or crypto. But they're only working about 10 days a month. And so it's more of a lifestyle for them. If you're wanting to know more about the program, feel free to reach out to me and let's connect and let's talk about, how that can actually help you. Listeners, as we celebrate 800 episodes, I want to say thank you to you who tune into the Leadership is Changing podcast. And you're all around the world. And it's just really exciting to see it because I'm really excited and proud and happy with the podcast and how it's gone. Just to think that not so long ago, I started with the very first few episodes and launched those. And today, it's known globally as a go-to asset. Here's what I want to leave with you from today's episode. Leadership is a choice. Your voice matters, and your presence matters. So don't be the empty suit sitting in a room. Be the leader who brings life, energy, and vision. I want you to decide today, are you staying or are you going? Either way, commit to the choice and move forward with passion. Because the world doesn't need more quit and stayers. The world needs leaders who show up. Your call to action this week is that if I can help you in the thinking around what I've just shared with you today, or you wanted to know more about the Executive Crossover Program, feel free to book a 30-minute strategy session with me. How do you do that? Just go to my website, leadingchangepartners.com. There's a few buttons that says book a call, and you can go on there and you select the day and the time that you're available. That shows when I'm available, and it goes into our calendars, and it sends you and I a Zoom link, and we can get on a quick call and chat. And if that doesn't work for you, just feel free to send me a message either through social media directly, or you send me an email, Denis@leadingchangepartners.com. Well, that's it for this 800th episode on the Leadership is Changing podcast. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.